Wednesday. What wakes him the next morning is a basketball, dribbling. Lewis rolls out of bed and into the closest sweats. Has to hold him up with his left hand all the way down the stairs. The dryer ate their drawstring back when they were brand new. There's definitely someone dribbling a basketball in the driveway. Lewis steps down from the kitchen into the garage, says to Harley, "Who is it, bub?" Harley thumps his heavy tail once against the Star Wars sleeping bag, but that's all he can manage. A neighbor kid, maybe? Did the former tenants tell all the kids on this street that they can come over anytime to shoot hoops? If so, cool. Lewis needs someone to play with who's at his skill level. Playing against Pita, doing anything athletic with her, is a study in shame. Pretty much, even grabbing her waistband when she slides past, pushing her in the back when she's laying it up. He never can hit 21 before she does. He can never even get to 10 before she wins. Lewis pumps the garage door button with the side of his face pretty hard. Because that's what you do in what could be a trespassing situation. What could be the former tenant drunk waving back to the home he sort of remembers. Slowly, it's an old heavy door. The sneakers out there become legs, then shape into a woman, then become Shani. She spins around making room against an imaginary defender and comes back, rises into a follow-away that scissors her legs in the air, the back one touching just down, just as the ball banks in, smooth as butter. She shags the rebound, claps the ball between her hands like heads up and passes it across, a clean bounce right on target. Lewis catches it because the other option is getting popped in the gut with it. "I wake you early bird," she says like a challenge. Day off, Lewis says, to spend with him. Shani says back, going to Harley now that the door's open. She cups his wide head in her hand, draws her nose to his, and squeezes her eyes shut, keeps them like that. "You smell it, don't you?" Lewis says. "He's dying," she says, massaged his notched ears. She rolls into a sitting position on the unassembled sweat. Says about Harley and all his scars, "He's an old warrior, isn't he?" "You come just to see him?" "I thought he died on Tuesday. I was alive on Wednesday." "You come just to see him?" Lewis asks, trying not to make it sound confrontational. She hears it anyway. "Your wife wouldn't want me here, right? White girls of red men are always the most jealous of my kind." "Your kind," Lewis says, though he kind of already knows. "Indian, unattached, an ass like this." Shani goes on. "I know," Jerry says, "I'm bad news." The headline back on the reservation: "Baseball, baseball, baseball." "What's her name about anyway?" Shani asks. "She's a white girl tortilla, or all against wearing animal skins? What?" "Pizza with an E, not an I." Lewis recites, following through Pizza's own explanation. She was supposed to have been a boy. Her dad's name is Pete. So he put an A on his own name, handed it down. Shani nods like she can track that, sure, and when she threads her bangs away, Lewis clocks that her left eye is all bloodshot, and that has he ever even seen her forehead? The skin above her eyebrow on that side's drawn tight and bumpy, like from sudden contact with a dashboard, or an aerosol can exploding in a burning pile of trash. The eye, though, bad day last night, Lewis has to think. Either that or the wrong boyfriend. He doesn't ask, tries not to be too obvious about looking, which pretty much means he telegraphs his thoughts word for word across to her. He knows. Anyway, I came over for a book, Mr. Library, she says, shaking her hair back over her forehead and eye. Not to jump your bones. Call her up, tell her that. I'll wait. My day off too, yeah? Lewis looks at her about the book thing. Because usually this kind of lead-in is the setup for some joke. Reading about wizards and druids at the mall, or werewolves and vampires being detectives, it doesn't exactly bump a 36-year-old's cool meter up. And if anybody knew, centaurs and mermaids are sometimes part of it, or demons and angels, dragons. Keep those books covers folded all the way back down, Lewis knows. Except here's a girl actually asking to see them. Even Peter doesn't really understand the fascination, the compulsion to draw. How camping he always tucks a paperback or two in his pack, each inside its own separate Ziploc bag. She's a super athlete, though. She was always running too fast or jumping too high to pick up reading. It's nothing bad about her. Keep saying that, Lewis tells himself. Keep saying that and dribble out from under the garage and into the bright open sky. It's that kind of November day. Anything particular, Lewis says back to Shaney without looking. All his fascination on the rim so he can come up onto his toes to shoot. What he has planned is a trip to the bank to show off, to match the shot she just made look so easy. But then he has to collapse that idea at the last instant to keep his sweats on his body. Nothing underneath. Nothing I haven't seen before, Shaney says. Tall Indian choking on the court, The ball's bouncing through the junk lumber behind the goal. Lewis picks to barefoot to retrieve it, finds an even worse way back to the concrete pad. Court intrigue or heroic quest to save the realm? Lewis asks. Ships or horses, elves or, I don't know, something exciting, Shane says. First in a series, maybe. Nice long series. Something to keep me busy all night. Can she ever just talk about one thing? You being serious? Lewis asks, chest passing the ball across to her slow enough that she rips it from the air, like disgusted with the weakness of that lackluster pass. Her billowing t-shirt snags the gravity ball when she whips it across her midsection, though. So pissed off about that, she bounces the ball high and wrenches her arms around behind her to tie her shirt, take up the slack, then catches the ball back. Peter, in this situation, usually tucks the front of her shirt up under her sports bra, but that isn't really an option for Shane today. Lewis can tell. Oh, she says, following the look Lewis doesn't mean at her stomach. It's a long, ragged scar up and down, not side to side and low like a C-section. It's an open heart surgery scar, just too low for the heart and with an ugly, uneven ridge of scar tissue. Is this and whatever happened to her forehead and eye a matching pair? One really bad night instead of a lot of pretty sucky ones? Lewis wants to ask about the car crash, or ask if the baby made it, or if they got the guy did this. Except what if she wasn't the only one to make it through that wreck? What if the baby didn't make it? What if that guy is still out there carrying no scars himself? Say it, Shady says about the scar. Go ahead, I've heard them all. Did I go to the emergency or the butcher? She acts with the ball between her two bird fingers, rotating it with her thumbs, keeping it between Lewis and her midriff. As much bluff as she has, she still doesn't want him looking. He can tell. Can hardly even see it. He 100% lies. Did everything. Her eyes flit up to the goal, and her non-answer is the answer he needs. And her story comes together in his head, glued together from all the other stories he knows. She was young, the emergency room doc was a reject from the American medical system, so she ran from that tiny grave as far as she could, which ended up being about one tank of gas away from her reservation. Sorry, Lewis says. Not for seeing, but for whatever happened. Where we're from, she says back. Scars are part of the deal, aren't they? Lewis steps out onto the court proper, wading into this game. So you really want a book? He asks. Still sure this is some complicated joke. I read, yeah, she says, like insulted. Shrugging one shoulder, dribbling up to him, and then turning around in an invitation. One thing all guy ballers can learn from how the girls play is that trick right there. Giving the defender your ass so you can protect the ball, slash out either way around them. Problem is, guys always think it's an ego thing, that it's a bigger coup to face up. Lock lies, then juke them any the hell way. And maybe it is, but the guys get their pockets picked more too. Shaney presses right up to Lewis, dribbling far from her body so he can't reach around. This would be a bad time for Peter to come strolling up, he knows. He might as well be leading around a barely halter-top girl in the bar who's pretending not to know how to play pool. Peter won't be walking up though. She's not off work for hours yet, and even then it's a 10-minute hike in from the park and ride. Her work stuff was slung over her shoulder, her ear protection slung around her neck. The world so quiet to her, probably after planes throttling up around her all day. Pita. Lewis vows to keep her name in his head for the next few minutes. Shani leans right like she's going to use her left to throw the ball ahead. A long dribble that gets her into layup territory if she glides a bit. Underhanded as that kind of touch, but then she's twisting left already, and Lewis, like always, like with Pita, falls for it. Shani Eel's pass has had a coach really make her get her footwork right, and the net's already spitting the ball down. I had to hold my pants up, Lewis calls out. No, you didn't, Shaney says, and bounces the ball into the garage well away from both Harleys, the dying dog, and the parked road king. Now, book me, officer. It takes a second for Lewis to get that, and he's fully aware she just smuggled handcuffs into his head. He leads her in all the same, one hand clutching his sweats, and when he makes the turn up the stairs, Shaney's still back at the kitchen table. Black feet, she's saying. She's almost touching the rolled elk hide on the table, and she's either just said her name for Lewis, or she's asking it if this hide is from the reservation. What? Lewis says, stopped with his non-sweat hand gripping the Noel post at the turn upstairs. I didn't know, she says, looking across to him with new eyes. You're a bundle holder? They let it come all the way down here. From the look on his face, she explains. It's like a pipe holder, just with a bundle. Oh, that's just... Lewis begins, doesn't finish. I didn't really grow up traditional. Thanks, tradition found you just the same, she says, impressed, and almost touches the outermost brown hairs, then draws back like afraid of what might happen, what might pass from this black feet bundle to her crow self. It's just an elk hide, Lewis doesn't say, mostly because now she's drifted over to the couch. She can see the masking tape insult to all elk on the carpet of the living room. She looks from it to him, then back, and without saying anything, she's there. As the masking tape is tearing off a few long strips, affixing them to the side of the couch. They look like long, careful shavings of wood curling up. Lewis doesn't say anything, just steps over like 100 possible explanations swirling through his head, all of them built to fail. Moving deliberately, Shaney applies the long strips to the carpet, not adding to the elk, but giving it some insides, that inward-going tube of an arrow Lewis has always seen on lodges and in ledgers that ducks back from the mouth to the stomach for reasons he's never had clue of one about. Why would the esophagus and stomach be more important than the heart, the liver? Now it's right, Shani says. It is. It was a smudge sheet before. Now it's not so much a young cow elk, but a shape that somehow represents a young elk better than even an actual young elk lying right there. How did you know? Lewis asked. You're asking that because I'm a girl? It was just a blob with legs, Lewis tells her. Now she's looking to the ladder to the nothing happening on the ceiling. My books are, Lewis tries, but this isn't a library anymore. Why do this here by the couch? She asked, just generally, coming back around to fix him in her thirsty eyes. She opens her hand to the masking tape elk, leaves her fingers spread like that. Wherever I did it, that could be the question, Lewis says, stalling. But you did it here, not anywhere else, Shane says back, not pushing this time, but listening. It's stupid, he says, sitting down on the third step of the stairs. Just something I thought I saw the other day. She leans back onto the arm of the couch, her eyes still locked on him, says, which was? There's a face that comes in. It's not like in the books. Lewis says when you see something that doesn't fit, like a werewolf digging through your trash, he completes for him, hauling his current book up from the coffee table and showing him the cover, which is a werewolf digging through a dumpster trash strewn all over the alley. Lewis nods even more, his hands cupped over his mouth, his breast hot on his palms. Is he really about to tell her? Does the hot girl from work get to know what his wife doesn't? But she knew how to finish that elk on the floor, didn't she? That has to mean something. And Lewis hates himself for saying it, for thinking it. But there it is. She's Indian. More important, she's asking. It was the winter before I got married. She says 5 days before Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was the Saturday before Thanksgiving. We were hunting. We, Shani, prompts, guys I grew up with, Lewis says with a shrug, like they're not the real focus. Gabe, Ricky, Cassidy, Cass. Shani nods like he's doing good so far and looks over to the masking tape elk again, kind of for both of them, it feels like. And then Lewis is talking, is confessing, is saying it all out loud for the first time, which must mean it really happened. That's Saturday. So it's Saturday when it ends Hell Week. The rest of the days of Hell Week are not recorded in the book. Peter's head's in my mind. Sue Maki. Okay. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Good morning. Kenneth Kennedy Stein, this is your God and humble servant. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. Today is the first day of Hell Week, as I wrote down in my calendar. For my account, kennethkenjistein.god@gmail.com. With the hopeful expectation that heaven will begin on June 16, 2025. But mind control is still in effect and everything's fucked up beyond all recognition. We have what? Absolute perfect evil of all time. Dr. Peter Hyman, the devil. Still fucking doing his bullshit. Some kind of point I read somewhere, like maybe like a point in time. Maybe that's like the midpoint of half time. Who knows? I don't know. In any case, he seems to be doing alright. There's some cuckold bitch. Which I thought, that's kind of weird. Is it? No, because it seems like it is a supposedly, yeah. Because I don't know. Whatever, he's doing evil, I guess. Well, apparently with the right, so I don't know what the fuck, right? I mean, Genesis like fucking double fucking, I don't even know, fucking, oh god, everything dimensional with fucking, I don't even know what's going on. Anyways, I pray for you guys tonight. Make sure today I have in mind to go do this bullshit. I got like 7 days. I got on a work fully file, which is probably hacked. All right, pretty good, pretty good. There we go. Okay, emails. Now, this is out of order. Periodicals, telepaths, neuroscientists, cell phones, emails, inventory. Alright. Well, so I'm, working. Actually, we could do this like this. Because this is kind of more representative, right? Because it's hell right now, and the steps in heaven should go, like, forward, but we're still, like, working down. So fucking make this right. All right, boom. So I guess I'll start with inventory, right? It's 3:13 a.m. All right. Where is inventory? I don't know, some bullshit. Okay. I'll figure it out. All right.